Welcome guys to the video. It is an honor to be back to making another video. It's been a while. During this time of the year, it's just so hard to make content. We don't really ride as often, mainly just working on shit because everything's broken. So getting ready for the season. We do have an event coming up, which we will have the X3 RR at. Maybe we'll break 100 miles on it. That event is in PA. It's called Yeti's Adventures. Looking forward to doing that with the family. But anyways, let's get straight into today's video. Today's video is going to be about buying used ATVs. Now, this video is not going to be monetized. I'm not putting it up like that because it'll defeat the whole purpose and my intentions of the video. Because my goal here is to save you guys money, time, effort, and anger, and anguish, and everything in between those lines. We buy and we resell quads here on the channel, and ATVs and four-wheelers. Anything in between, we buy, we fix, and we resell them. Now, doing that and being in that business, it's a very sketchy and shady business. Now, people like to sell broken shit, which is fine, but the issue is they're not upfront that the shit is broken. So you buy something and it's broken, and boom, it turns into a waste of money. At the end of the day, these things are investments of not just money, but time. And you guys should be always able to go out and make sure you guys buy the right machine. So I'm going to walk you through what I do typically when I'm buying an ATV. I'm going to walk you guys through some of my techniques and some of the simple, very simple stuff that I could teach to literally my neighbor. We're transparent as a buyer and we know what to look for, and we can negotiate the right price. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going online and I'm researching that specific four-wheeler that somebody's selling. It's a quick search. It'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. Look up the four-wheeler, look up the year, look up the issues, look up what could be wrong with it, look up the things to look for and any issues it has. So for example, if you're buying a Polaris Scrambler 1000, a 2016, the front diffs in those things, they were trash. So whenever I would go buy a Scrambler, the first thing I would do is I would put it in four-wheel drive. I would cut a really sharp turn with it, and I would see if I could hear the front diff. If I heard the front diff, you better knock like $1,000 or $2,000 off of that machine. If it's a winter, $2,000, because I'm not fixing shit out in the snow. My shop is full. But seriously, do your research and understand what to look for that model year and that four-wheeler or ATV. Also, I want a real market evaluation. So I want to see what other people are selling the four-wheeler for. If you're selling it for $8,000, but everybody else is selling for $6,000, there's an issue. Sounds like you're gouging. Unfortunately, in this day and age, some people think they're selling a Lamborghini when realistically they don't understand that four-wheeler came off the lot and depreciated terribly. They can't accept that. But then again, some people are trying to sell for payoff, which is fine, but you can't gouge out here. You're not gonna always get what you're asking. Sometimes I've seen people selling four-wheelers for the same price it is to go to the dealership, maybe like $1,000 less, and that's not fair. So after I know what the four-wheeler is worth, after I know what to look for, and after I know where we're at, I've negotiated a good price, now it's time to start spot checking things. First thing I'm gonna check for is I'm always gonna check and verify the make and the model. So in order for example, on this Renegade, all I gotta do is pop the seat off. There's a sticker right there and it'll tell you the engine size. You need to check that because like this four-wheeler I'm looking at, there's no markings on the outside. So I could take your word for it of the CCs, but what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna check for myself. Also something to do if you're buying a nice, maybe say dirt bike or maybe a YFZ, go to Harbor Freight and get your guys' a compression kit. They're like $40 and check the compression and look up what the standard compression is of that model. That'll tell you if there's any internal issues, and it's super useful to have. Whenever I'm buying a dirt bike, I always check compression on dirt bikes because as you guys know, dirt bikes are always needing rebuilt. So if somebody says, oh yeah, I just rebuilt it, it has a Wisco this, a Wisco that, it's got all, okay, I'm gonna hook up my compression thing. I'm not verifying that those parts are in there. I'm just verifying that it at least had a rebuild or it's at least holding up. Secondly, always check the tires. These tires on this one are phenomenal, for example. And while you're checking the tires, check the wheel bearings. Now, the easiest way to check a wheel bearing is to jack up the front of the four-wheeler and shake it. But if you don't have a jack on you, which I think a lot of us don't, I always will just try to shake it as hard as I can and see if it moves. You can also use your foot. So I'm kicking this one and see the whole four-wheeler is moving. It's not just the wheel moving. So it's kind of more of a noise thing. You can kind of hear it rocking in there. You don't want to be doing wheel bearings, especially when you first buy something. Another thing we're going to do is we're also going to come around to the back. I guess this is a good example because it's a performance exhaust, but you can always check if something's burning oil by putting your hand in there. See, that's not oil. That's actually water from me washing it off. But You can just easily tell if something's burning oil just by your hand. Also, grabbing these axles, try to shake them, see if they're loose. See the whole four-wheeler is moving, the axle's not moving independently. Check all 4 axles. Also check the axle boots, make sure there's no rips in the boots, because if so, you're gonna be replacing an axle, and that's also not fun. Now you need to check the drain plug on the belt box. There's a plug right here with a small clamp on it. Squeeze it, pull it off, see if any water comes out of the belt box. If so, there's a serious issue, or there's a boot maybe loose. This one is snorkeled, so there is a chance if something comes loose, water could get into there. Always check that, because you don't want water in your belt box. It also could be the four-wheeler was sunk. Now, one of the more important things, pull the oil dipstick out. This one is right there. Take it out and dab a little bit of it on your finger. Take a picture of the oil dipstick and the oil on your finger and see if there's any water residue in it. Look up a picture online of what it would look like, for instance, and also make sure the oil is not extremely dark. If it's extremely dark, it's way past due for an oil change. If it's lighter, it was recently changed, or it's not ready for an oil change yet. It was probably serviced properly. What I would suggest, if you can't do that stuff, send a picture of it to ChatGPT. Just take a picture of your finger and the oil dipstick, the oil on the stick, and ask ChatGPT how the oil looks. It'll kind of give you an accurate response for the most part. And one thing I forgot to mention, whenever I go to look at a four-wheeler or a dirt bike or an ATV, the first thing I always do is I always come up like this. I go to the back where the exhaust is, and I cross my fingers and I say a prayer and I feel the exhaust. This exhaust is cold. That's how I want the exhaust to feel when I'm going to look at a four-wheeler. I do not want that exhaust to be warm like this thing was just running before I got there. Now, another important thing to do when you're buying a 4x4 quad is to make sure the four-wheel drive is working. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. The first one you probably can't do. If you have a jack up the front of the four-wheeler, put it in four-wheel drive, and put it in neutral and try to spin the front tires. Now, if there is four-wheel drive, the tires will be very hard or kind of hard to spin. If there's no four-wheel drive, they'll spin very, very easily. Second way to check this is what I tend to do is I'll put the quad in the four-wheel drive. I'll cut the front wheels very sharp, just like I told you when I'm listening to see if the front diff works. I'll give it a good amount of gas and make sure the front wheels spin. Now, if the rear wheels just spin, clearly there's an issue with the four-wheel drive. Now, if the front wheels spin and kick up some dirt or gravel, that means the four-wheel drive is working. You got to make sure these front diffs are working. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, purely making this video just to save you guys some money, just to tell you the things to look for. If you guys enjoyed this content, check out all of our other videos. We do some crazy shit. We do some hill climbs. We do some mud bogs. We always get stuck. This video was purely just to help you guys out. This is not specifically just for Can-Am. This could be for Polaris, Honda, whatever four-wheeler it is. Just know what to look for and just do your research. Never jump the gun. Never impulse buy. I guarantee you, for the most part, those four-wheelers aren't going anywhere. If the four-wheeler goes and sells in a day or two, it probably had some issues, and that person wanted to clean their hands of it. Four-wheelers that stay on the market for a couple months are usually the good ones. Those are usually the four-wheelers that you want, are the ones that sit on the market for like a month or two. If they don't, then the guy either wants to wash his hands of it, or he doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't know the correct price, or maybe it's just super overpriced and it's been on the market for years. You don't want those ones. I always check to see how long it's been posted for. It's always one of the first things I look for as well.
The angels up in the clouds are jealous, know what we found. So ordinary. You got me kissing the ground, sanctuary. Try to be with your touch, but Lord, return me to dust.